Gradenko. How long did it take the gas to work?
Is it safe to speak?
Of course. Go on.
The kill time depends upon the weight of the subject. The children were terminated in less than 15 seconds, and the adults took longer, 18 to 42 seconds.
No survivors?
None, Comrade Stalin.
The total dead?
Approximately 840.
All right, here's one from A Wretched Life 12. As for a more serious question, how do you guys personally deal with the, quote, well, socialism has done terrible things and killed so many people question when asked by genuinely ill-informed people asking in good faith? It surprised me that a lot of people I've run into lately are a lot more susceptible to the idea that of socialism with how things are going these days, but still resist it because of Stalin killed millions of people thing, and that wasn't the real socialism argument can only go so far. So how does one deal with, because, you know, like in I think this is actually like a pretty basic question that a lot of people get hit with from people who aren't necessarily totally arguing in bad faith. The death count for Stalin and Mao usually gets trotted out quite a bit, and it's hefty, I would say. But for me personally, first of all, I wouldn't do the thing of trying to deny that Stalin and Mao killed a ton of people.
Yeah, I don't think,
I don't think that's productive.
We joke about being kind of tanky here because I do think the fall of the Soviet Union was a world historic tragedy, and that has nothing to do with like Stalin's record. But like, yeah, don't go full tank. Like, don't be fucking weird.
Or just like, yeah, be like, or try to say that like actually like all those people who were killed in the Cultural Revolution deserved it. They were they were revisionists.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I think the easiest way to answer this question is to be like, you know, what do you think the fucking body count of like democratic capitalism in the last century looks like?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty easy. Like,
yeah.
And for me, I kind of would stretch it out a little bit further to just say, like, if you want to talk like real body counts, you're not talking about real stacked up fucking bodies in the last 300, 400 years. It is the process of colonialism, imperialism, and industrial that then led to the capital accumulation of industrialization. And that is, it's basically impossible to take a peasant agricultural society and wrench enough surplus value out of it to turn it into an industrial society without killing a ton of people. And the vast majority of the people who died in the Soviet Union, they died the same way for the same reason that people in colonial India did and in the Americas during the periods of imperialism and colonialism. They died in the pursuit of rapid industrial growth. And the only difference is the time scale, because the imperialism and capitalism, because they were carried out by these disparate states in Europe in competition with one another over a long time frame without a central organization. It took hundreds of years to kill all those people, whereas because of the peculiar historical situation of the Soviet seizure of power or the Chinese communist one, they were forced to by the need to compete with the capitalist West to industrialize in a much more compressed time frame. And there's really only one way that happens, and that is with a lot of death.
Also, I think who actually beat the Nazis is a good one to throw in there.
Yeah, the Soviet Union did defeat the Third Reich in World War II, and they lost a lot of people, 20 million people doing it.
I think it's fair to concede that, like, you know, no state project ever invented has ever been worthy of the people or whatever. But some are better than others, and some have a more virtuous record than others, and I don't think capitalism comes out on top of that.
Yeah, no, so yeah, like the easiest one is like, again, because they're like you are able to identify like Stalin and Mao and their regimes and all the people they killed, whereas like, you know, capitalism, because it's vaguer and more diffuse, gets away without like any, you know, official, you know, like death count or body count. But like, yeah, just look into like what the British Empire did, you know?
Yeah,
like,
not even in the same contemporaneous period.
Exactly. Yeah.
During World War II, there was a Bengal in Bengal that killed over 3 million people, and and largely as a result of British policies that you know, under the argument that, well, we have to distribute things towards the war effort. Well, that was the argument anyway. Killed 3 million people. And when somebody told Churchill about it, he goes, "Well, if it's so bad, how come Gandhi isn't dead?"
Owned.
And the other thing is like, the Cold War that was led by America against communism in the latter half of the 20th century involved, as we've discussed many times on this show, explicit genocides and the explicit collaboration with literal former Nazis to do it and carry it out. So again, like it's just the easiest answer is yes. Even if you take that all as true and written about Stalin and how evil he was, you're being a little too confident about the people arguing against it on their side,
Right.
and how benevolent and freedom loving it's been to the human history.
Yeah, but at the same time, don't be weird. And however tanky you are, when you're having conversations with people who have spent their whole lives, understanding the world as this very specific narrative, just dial down the tanky by like 10 degrees and don't be weird.